Okay, can you tell me the best practices to write LWC components?
So basically, LWC is something, it is specifically, it has a robust thing of segregating the things, whereas writing JavaScript separately and, components separately and, the main logic separately. So when consider these things, the reusability is main thing where this will bring a big advantage. And so we need to consider whenever we are writing an LWC. So the reusability should be in our mind. So wherever we can use the toast messages or something like that, or any logics or any CSS that can be used. So it should be, it should be written separately, in keeping in the mind that the reusability is one of the best practice. And other one is wherever it is required. So we need to go for a wire method rather than going for a to call simple. And the major things which come into my mind are this. One is reusability and one is using a wire method is something where which is the great feature of LWC.
Okay.
So, and also one more thing, we can go for the lazy loading wherever it is required rather than hitting every completed table wherever it is required. So the data can be loaded as we scroll.
Okay. So what are the different ways we have to call epics in LWC components?
Yeah, we can call in 3 ways, I believe. One is using @wire decorator, and other one is using imperative method, and next third one could be lightning message service, I believe. Yeah, LDS, I believe.
Data service.
Yeah, data service.
Okay. So what is the difference between this wire and imperative?
Basically, wire is something where we want to fetch the data and display. There is no, event is involved. Wherever the user interaction, when we are hitting some button and the action should be called with respect to that and some logic should be performed, then we'll go for imperative method.
Okay, can we call this wire decorator in our connected callback?
I think as per the flow, that is separately called, and I think we cannot call inside the connected callback.
Okay.
As per the order, yeah, I think wire comes first and next would be the connected.
So what does order says? Wire comes first and then connected callback.
Yes. And next again wire.
And then next again wire. So why so?
Basically, after connected callback only, it will be knowing what data should be transmitted to the component back. So though the order goes like that, but data receivability can only be sent after the connected callback.
Okay, so at the first time wire will not going to give us any output or the debugs from the apex, right? And the second time after the connected callback, it will going to give us the controller data.
Correct. Yeah, correct. That's what I mean. Yeah, I did not put it.
Okay. Okay, when this connected callback is required in the components?
Whenever we want to, include some logics, whenever we want to have some logic that should be executed. So we'll be going for the connected callback. The main logic that will be written inside the connected callback.
Main logic like?
Logic like, so whenever the component has been inserted and some data should be manipulated there with respect to that, the code can be written there.
Okay.
The business logic, yeah.
The first time whenever the this component will insert it into our DOM, so whatever the things we want to do, we'll be going to do in this connected callback. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when does this render callback comes in picture?
After connected callback and the rendering phase has been completed, the rendered callback will come into the picture. And whenever we are using, whenever we are trying, such as an example is that uh, whenever we are clicking on any button, something has to be changed in the back end, or in such a kind of scenarios, we will be using this rendered callback.
Okay, so in such cases, this means render callback will going to execute multiple times, right?
Yes.
So will it be okay for our component?
Uh, it's not a right practice, but this is really a complex thing to use this. We need to keep in mind it is not re-triggering always. Using the track,
Mm-hmm.
variable or a property, then we can avoid that.
Okay. Mhm. So what is the use of track decorator?
Track decorator is coming to track decorator. It is a reactive property, and wherever we use a track decorator, and it is a private. And whenever we declare it in a component, if we update at one place, it will be reflected everywhere. Where it has been referenced.
Currently, all the properties are by default reactive, right?
Yes.
So do we still require this track decorator?
Yeah, it is still required whenever we are using with the arrays or list of collections or somewhere. Yeah, it can be used there still.
Okay. Okay, what do you mean by this rendering of component?
So rendering is something, that if at all the conditions has been matched or something, so the values fetching and showing up on the component is called rendering.
Something like refresh, you are saying?
Yes, I mean to say something like a refresh.
Okay. So whenever the person or the from the client side, anything will be happen on the components. So the rendering phase of the component will occur, and again it will going to call the render callback at the same time to update the things on the components.
Okay.
So what are shadow DOM?
Shadow DOM, basically DOM is a document object model. So it is a logical tree, and whatever the HTML, CSS and JavaScript that we write uh, will be converted to machine understanding, language in the DOM that will be in the DOM. So whereas uh, DOM is a global kind of a thing, and the shadow DOM is something DOM inside the DOM, and it will be private to the component. Whatever the JavaScript and HTML, CSS will be scoped to the component itself.
Have you worked on this LMS or PubSub also?
Yeah, I have knowledge about it. I got a chance to look into the things there. Yeah.
Okay, so what are they?
So whenever we would like to interact between unrelated components, so we'll go with the PubSub or LMS.
Mm-hmm. And what is the difference between both? Yeah.
Yeah, PubSub is something a JavaScript feature. So here we need to basically whenever we want to have a connection or a communication between two unrelated components, initially we need to create a PubSub component where we will be using publish subscribe singleton library, and that we need to be, then we should create a publish component, and we need to import the reference of current page reference there, and as well as we need to import the fire event that has to be triggered from here to PubSub component. And at the same time, after that, we need to also create subscript component where we'll import current page reference there, and register listener, unlist listener as well. the fire event also should be embedded. So when based on that, PubSub component help us to have interaction between the publisher component and subscribe component as we subscribe it from there. Coming to LMS, LMS is a Salesforce functionality where it is enhanced of publish and subscribe functionality, that the feature that has been provided by JavaScript. It leverages little more functionality here. So we can communicate between the two unrelated components. For that, we need to create a message service initially, and we need to create an XML inside it and having the relevant fields in that. And this has to be imported in publish component and the component that we want to publish, and we can pass the data from there in the subscribe component by importing the subscribe thing there. So yeah, LMS will be helpful also in interacting with unrelated components.
Okay, so let's suppose you have to connect between the unrelated components. So how or what things you will consider either to go with LMS or with the PubSub?
It's an interesting question. Basically, we have two features, but whenever we want to use, the more flexibility we have in LMS is like we can interact between the VF page and our components, and as well as web components in LMS, where that is not possible in PubSub, I believe. So yeah, when such interactions of between the different components we have, then we can go with LMS. Since we can also perform the same functionality in PubSub as well.
Yeah. So LMS will be the better option as compared to the PubSub.
Yeah.
In case of implementation also, and in case of flexibilities also.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what are the custom events here?
Yeah, custom event is something where this will come into picture when we want to interact between child to parent component. So in that scenarios, we can use custom event.
So what type of data we can pass from child to parent component? Like, can I pass the list of subjects or the list of records? Can I do so?
Yeah, and custom event as part of the details and in the parameters, we can pass records, objects, and primitive and non-primitive data types as well.
Okay.